Trump issued a new executive order that would revise childhood vaccination recommendations. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sat down with me after that announcement, supporting the president's decision to reduce the number of vaccinations required for children. President Trump said, I've seen proof of it where they have a vaccination, looks like the size of a soda poured into a little child body, the size of a bottle of soda poured into a little child's body. Where is that proof?
Well, I suppose if you add up 94 vaccines, it's a big volume.
But a typical vaccine is like 0.5 milliliters.
Trump is concerned about that dramatic expansion of the vaccine schedule that happened in our country and not other countries, where our kids are getting more than any other nation in the world. And we seem to be the sickest country. No, we don't seem to be. We are, in terms of chronic disease, the sickest country in the world. And many of those chronic diseases are injuries that are listed on the manufacturer's inserts as potential vaccine side effects. So shouldn't we do those kind of studies? Shouldn't we have the same kind of safety studies that are required for other medications?
But you've said for MMR that it is safe and that there are studies on that.
No, what I said is it's effective. It's hard for us to make a determination of safety without look of relative safety.
I mean, the CDC says that it's safe. That's the word they use on the website.
Well, it's hard for us. It's hard for anybody to declare something safe without safety studies. And we don't have any randomized control, placebo-controlled studies or their equivalent for most of our vaccines. And what we're trying to do is make sure that there is an equivalent of that so that people don't understand what the risk profile is of these products as well as the benefits. You know, the measles vaccine clearly prevents measles in 97% of the cases. But are there other side effects that we are not aware of?
But in terms of the measles vaccine, that's something, would you tell your grandkids to take it? Would you tell your kids?
I wouldn't. I'm not going to give medical advice to people on national television. I don't do that. I've never done that, and I won't do it.
In terms of, though, that idea of that it's like the size of a soda bottle, I mean, that's not accurate, right?
I think what President Trump is talking about is the cumulative dose of all these vaccines. You get 94 shots or 94 jabs.
Right, but a shot is
a big volume.
The shot is a 0.5 milliliters for an average shot. A soda can is 500 to 600 milliliters. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, the question that I think, Alex, that you should be concerned with is the fact that none of these vaccines have been tested in placebo-controlled trials. So they're essentially mandated for millions of American kids without us understanding the risk profile. The hepatitis B vaccine, for example, was tested for only 4 days, safety tested, and with no placebo. How do you know that that vaccine is safe? Even after you've used it for many years, you don't know. And so I think what President Trump is concerned with is that we should be able to tell the public what the risk profile is of these products as well as the efficacy of these products.
But isn't there some danger that in using language like talking about a soda bottle, that scares people into not wanting to get vaccines, and when that's inaccurate, people may not get them and then they may die?
Well, I think people make their own assessment about whether something is the size of a soda bottle or not. I don't think that is going to have any impact on whether or not people get a vaccine. I think people are smart, and they're a lot smarter than the media gives them credit for. They can read, they can do their own diligence, and they can make up their own minds. And what our job as a health agency is to provide them the best information possible so that they can make informed choices and the right choice for their families.
What's next on the vaccine front in terms of where you go from here and how do you expand this?
We're doing for the first time the safety studies. So there have never been safety studies for any of these products.
And when do those?
We're doing them at ARPA, we're doing ARPA-H, we're doing them at NIH, FDA, CDC, the National Toxicity Program. Imagine there's aluminum adjuvants in about half of our vaccines. There's no safety data on them. We don't know whether they're carcinogenic, teratogenic, mutagenic, or whether they're neurotoxic. And we should know those things. So we're going to find them out for the first time, and we're going to be able to inform the American people.
And in terms of, what do you think is the biggest misconception about you, especially on this vaccine issue?
I think people, I'd say the generalized misconception is that I'm anti-vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine. In fact, I'm putting hundreds of millions of dollars into developing new vaccines. For example, universal flu vaccine. Suddenly prevented any pass. So how to say something your job to enforce that kind of. A lot of Americans get very suspicious of that because they see all of the advertisements on your camera by these big companies that, for example, Pfizer, which is, I think, the biggest advertiser made $100 million on a product that newscasters on your network to promote and punishing people for questions. So I think we have to get away from that kind of censorship. We need to be able to have a real discussion over facts and not pointing fingers and accusing people
Which is why I appreciate the fact that you're taking time to talk to us today. And just to make a real clear point on this, in terms of the measles vaccine, you say that it prevents measles and that studies have shown that it saves lives.
Absolutely, the measles vaccine prevents measles. The studies show that it has a 97% efficacy, at least after, I think after one dose or two doses. If it's the best way, if you don't want to get measles, the best way to do that is to get vaccinated.
Before we bring in the doctor, I want to read you a statement from CNN regarding the false claim Secretary Kennedy made about CNN during our interview. The statement reads, quote, "Advertisers play no role whatsoever in influencing our content or story selection. CNN journalists are not swayed or influenced by brands or advertisers in any way." Let's bring back into the conversation now Dr. Jake Scott from Stanford. You just listened to Secretary Kennedy claim that most vaccines lack randomized placebo-controlled trials. So for those of us that aren't doctors or scientists, first off, just make it very clear, what are placebo-controlled trials?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So a randomized controlled trial is the fairest test that we have in medicine. So you take thousands of children and essentially by coin flip, half of them get the vaccine and half get a placebo, which is basically an inactive look-alike shot that's designed so nobody can tell it apart from the real thing. And so nobody knows who got which, not the families, not the doctors or researchers, until the study ends, right? And then you compare the two groups, and any real difference between them has to come from the vaccine, right? So the claim that RFK Jr. has been making for quite some time now, and that continues to go around, unfortunately, is that childhood vaccines were never tested this way, which is patently false. So my colleagues and I systematically searched the medical literature, and we actually identified every randomized trial of childhood vaccines on the US schedule, going back to 1940. And we found more than 250 of them. And the overwhelming majority, nearly 100%, were placebo-controlled. And so I don't know why he continues to say that they haven't been placebo-controlled. And even if he used the strictest definition of a placebo, say plain saline and nothing else, nearly half of the trials that we looked at used exactly that. And this entire database that we made is public, so anyone watching can open it tonight and count for themselves. And I should also say that in terms of conflicts of interest, I'm also accused of being a farmer shill, and I don't have any financial conflicts of interest.
So we talked a lot about the amount of vaccines that children receive. The president suggested it was the size of a soda bottle. The secretary said that his kids got 94 doses. How many doses does the average child get?
Yeah, great question. So let me give the parents out there the real number, and I think most parents know that the number is not 94 because the numbers being thrown around I think do deserve some scrutiny. So, counting each needle once, a child who gets everything on the schedule, including a flu shot every single year, receives roughly 55 injections spread across 18 years, and that works out to be about 3 a year. The bigger figures get there by counting every disease inside a combination shot as a separate dose, and by projecting yearly COVID shots that, ironically, this administration itself actually took off the schedule, right? So the secretary says his own kids got 94, and I've genuinely tried to figure out how he arrived at that number, and it just, I can't get there. So it doesn't appear in his own department's report, and I can't reproduce it under any counting method. So, but here's the context that I think surprises people. Kids today get more injections than kids did in the 1980s, but dramatically less immune stimulation, about 95% less. So vaccines work through these proteins called antigens, which are the pieces of a germ that teach the immune system what to fight. And the old vaccines contained far more. I mean, the old whooping cough vaccine itself contained 3,000 of them, and today's entire schedule combined contains roughly 165.
We know that some vaccines do contain tiny amounts of aluminum adjuvants. This is something the secretary was talking about, which are intended to boost the body's immune response to them. Could those cause cancer or birth defects, genetic damage, neurological disorders, as the secretary is implying they might?
I think the secretary is very familiar with one particular large Danish study that looked at this and found absolutely no statistically significant link between aluminum adjuvants and any chronic disease in children. Aluminum adjuvants, we know quite a lot about them. And I think he said that they're in MMR vaccines, which is actually not true, because MMR is a live vaccine, and the weakened virus in those vaccines is enough to stimulate the immune response. So aluminum adjuvants are used to strengthen the immune response. MMR doesn't contain any aluminum adjuvants. But I think the long-term study that he's asking for was actually published last year. So Danish researchers looked at over 1 million children and followed them for up to 2 decades. And they looked at 50 different conditions, including autism spectrum disorder, and they found no link between aluminum and vaccines in any of those conditions. And aluminum adjuvants have been used for 90 years or so. And there is a massive amount of data that doesn't show any link between their use and diseases.
Dr. Jake Scott, thank you so much for sharing your perspective, and I hope everybody at home feels a little more informed after hearing from you and from Secretary Kennedy. I really appreciate it. Much more ahead on The Story Is, including an update on the Indonesia earthquake. We're live in the region at the top of the hour.